Now, let me ask you a question. Now, have you ever had a situation when just as the smoke starts dying down on a fire, here comes a little puff of smoke in a whole nother spot, and you keep trying to throw more water on that fire, but every time you do, here comes another hot spot. Well, I think we all know the old adage, where there's smoke, there's fire. And so you better stick around, because there ain't nothing but pure fire around this Keion Henderson. And I see a little bit of smoke simmering around even more hot tea. Hi there, I'm Professor Blackmore, and welcome back to my channel. Now, in prior episodes of the ProfessorBlackmore.com Case Closed Legal Hot Topics vlogcast, I spill the tea on various, and I mean numerous reasons why I don't think the reality show Church House Romance between Pastor Keion and Shaunie will last. And because the saints in the comments section were so vicious, I followed up with an additional episode in which I provided exhibits A and B in support of my position. And if you want to get caught up on all of that, and if you want to read all of the lovely comments, please watch my prior videos, and I'll place a direct link for both of those videos down below in the description section of this video. Now, while I was doing my research for my last episode, I stumbled across something that I was not looking for, nor was I expecting. And before I go any further, everything shared here is alleged. Stated once again, these are alleged facts. And that's because I really, quite frankly, don't know what the hell this all is. And so now, let me start off by saying that when I'm in the Houston area, I can go to all of the churches, honey, because there ain't nothing really like a Baptist church in the South. And although all these people in the comments keep telling me that I ain't no prophet, I'll tell you one thing. I can come to your church and praise all of y'all right up out of your own church. Now that's for sure. And with all of that being said, I have to say that I just didn't realize that there was just so much church mess. Church business going on over there at the Lighthouse Church. So I stumbled across another lawsuit filed by, guess who? That's right, Pastor Keion. And at this point, there's so many women, I'm losing track of who's who at this point, because he divorced the woman in Indiana, and her name is Shaquille Henderson. But then this lawsuit that I stumbled on is filed in Houston, Texas by Pastor Keion against a woman by the name of Rochelle Bell. And so at first I was like, well, this must be somebody else. This must be another Keion Henderson, because Pastor Keion already divorced this woman in Indiana back in 2008. But then I said, no, this woman's name is Rochelle, not Shell. And when you look at the lawsuit, it is disguised as an auto accident case. Now, one would be wondering, why would anybody go out of their way to protect Pastor Keion by making this lawsuit look like it's an automobile accident case? And who is going out of their way to do this disguising of these public records? Well, that's a whole nother question, and I'm going to go ahead and stay focused on this for now. So even though it looked like an automobile accident case, I said, let me take a peek at this. And so I saw a judgment. I wanted to first go look at the judgment because I wanted to see how much money had to be paid by anybody and how much money they got out of the judgment. And I could have been completely knocked over with a feather. When I started reading the document, that turned out to be a restraining order restraining her from coming near Pastor Keion and his second wife, Lady Felicia Henderson. So before I go any further, I want to make it clear that I don't read anything looking at it as it appears on its face, because these are documents that were filed by Pastor Keion's attorneys. And I can see a clear effort here from the beginning, it looks like to me, to cover something up. And so they've done a good job of making this lady, Miss Rochelle, look like she's crazy. But I'm not going to assume that she actually is crazy. But I have to admit, it certainly does look like she's crazy. I mean, it's really, the whole thing is really just bizarre. And I know there can be a lot of crazy ladies in the life of the church. But what I also know is that there are three sides to any story: his side, her side, and the truth. And as you'll see later, and even though she was warned to stop, cease, and desist, they contributed, Pastor Keion, to the reason why she could not afford to retain counsel to defend herself in the lawsuit. I'm looking at it under this particular lens, I'm saying. And so I'm going to look at all of these documents as if they are portrayed from Pastor Keion's point of view. But what I can glean from this thus far is that this woman seemed to be connected in some way to the Lighthouse Church in a deeper sense than just being merely a member. At least that is what it looked like to me. And her children were enrolled in the school at the church, which is otherwise known as the Abbey Preparatory Academy. Now, here's a picture of Miss Rochelle Bell with Pastor Keion. So at some point, it seems to me that it appears that everything was all right between all of these parties. That is, until she started posting on social media about a relationship between her and guess who? Pastor Keion. Now, when the church ministry administration found out about it, it looks like as early as July 24th, 2016, they tried to get her to remove her social media post. And so here is a little flavor of some of the things that Miss Rochelle Bell was posting. And I quote, "My pastor is not married to Miss Felicia Henderson. She is a seat filler. God told my pastor 2 years ago I was his third wife." What? When I read that, I was like, what? It goes on. "He pretends I am not, and my silence has cost me to suffer." End quote. That's just a little flavor of some of the crazy stuff that she was posting out there on social media. And so it looks like when they could not get her to stop, on March 25th, 2017, they withdrew her children from the church school, fired her if she worked there at all, and banned her from the church property. And so again, I recognize and appreciate that they did in fact warn her in ample enough time, and it looks like they tried to warn her several times about this. Now, I don't know if she works there. If she doesn't work there, I don't know how they think they can just get just a regular church member to stop posting things on social media. I don't know. But it seems to look like she worked there at the church in some capacity. So it's, I'm still doing my research. And then on March 23rd, 2018, it looks like Pastor Keion and his second wife, Lady Felicia, had to file for a temporary restraining order, which the court did grant and made final and permanent in a permanent injunction on October the 5th, 2018, enjoining Miss Rachel from going near Pastor Keion, Lady Felicia, or their children until December 31st, 2026. But you know who's not protected by this order? Let's see if you can guess. That's right, Lady Shaunie. Lady Shaunie, Shaunie, your name is not mentioned anywhere in this restraining order. But anyway, now, in my mind, either one of two things is true. Either Miss Rochelle is really crazy, and if so, I would be concerned if I were Shaunie. Or it's possible that Miss Rochelle is not crazy. If that's a possibility, then it's possible that maybe there was actually some sort of relationship between her and Pastor Keion. And if that's true, then guess what? I would be concerned if I were Miss Shaunie. Because if that's the case, she won't be the last. And so one thing I'm noticing is that Pastor Keion has a keen ability to try to clean the internet when it comes to all of these women in his past. I mean, I'm just saying, if you have people who can make a restraining order case look like an automobile accident case in the court records, it just seems to me like there's a strong thirst to hide the facts. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, what I will say right now is that I just don't see that, me personally, that I would want to be tangled up in all of this mess if I were you, Miss Lady Shaunie. And I can only imagine that Lady Felicia is glad to be rid of all of this trickery, since, according to the divorce decree, she made him completely buy her out of all of their holdings that they had together, including the church, in addition to other cash and assets she received, including the child support and the spousal support in the amount of $5,000 per month. But again, don't take my word for it, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think? If you were Shaunie, would you want to be mixed up in the middle of all of this foolery? Please let me know by leaving your comments in the comments section below. And in the meantime, before we go, I want to ask that you please give me a big thumbs up and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell so you'll be notified whenever I post new videos or whenever I go live on this topic. And please also follow me on TikTok and Instagram.